All right, Buccaneers win 26-9 being the final score. Got a little away from New Orleans at the end there. This was a fun win as a Tampa Bay fan. Also, yes, apologies for the still do not have any kind of setup here in my office, so apologies for that. But yeah, anyway, good win. I mean, there were definitely times when this game got a little interesting. I actually think the biggest story in a ways is, to me, Derek Carr did not look like we are used to seeing Derek Carr look like. And, even in this Saints era, which, he hasn't been great for the Saints just period, I think even with that, he didn't look great in this game. Even for those standards, which is not ideal if you're a Saints fan. Carr missed some throws that he usually makes. And for Tampa Bay, you have to take advantage of that, and that's what they did. They were able to utilize the fact that Carr didn't play very well to their benefit. And to be honest, the game that kept popping up in my mind was kind of that playoff game with the Saints and Buccaneers, where they knew Breeze couldn't really throw the ball down the field, and they used that to their advantage by blitzing constantly in this game, and it was able to have its benefits. I mean, Carr was trying to get rid of the football in a hurry. I mean, every pass he had, he was getting rid of it as quick as he could. He did have time. It was just more of they felt like that was the right strategy here, which to me, I kind of feel like if you have a quarterback who you don't trust to run your offense the way you typically run it, put in your backup quarterback. Like Winston has his faults. It was very funny that he came in and immediately threw an interception. That was a laugh out loud moment. But like with all his faults he has, if I'm sure he got a lot of playing time, first team reps this week before they knew that Carr could play. Like I think they should have put him in. I think that was a mistake. But for Tampa Bay, really good stuff. I think the defense, Antoine Winfield is just a superstar. I mean, the stuff he was doing in this game, all over the field constantly, playing great coverage, also rushing the passer well, making key tackles, knocking the football out. I mean, that forced fumble, that was really, for a long period of time, that was kind of the game of, while Tampa Bay felt good being up 14-3 for a good chunk of the game, it was like, if it was 7-3, it would have been a lot more nerve-wracking. So that play was absolutely huge. And for the offense, I mean, it's another one of those, talking about the Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore things. It's another one where, I'm pretty sure the stats weren't like anything. Yeah, 40 yards for Mike Evans. So not bad stats given when he went out on the field, but or when he went off the field. But, it's just one of those classic examples of I feel like the Saints, the way they play Mike Evans, he's not going to get the yards that you typically expect Mike Evans to get, right? He doesn't, they double team him pretty much every play. Lattimore is good against Evans, but also likes to hold, likes to commit those pass interference penalties when there are those one-on-one matchups, which sometimes doesn't get called, sometimes it does. The obvious example on that third down when Evans would have had a touchdown if Lattimore didn't commit the penalty, so I understood why he did it, but still, it's one of those things where a lot of times Evans's numbers are better than the stat sheet would show, in my opinion. And that was the case here when he was in the game, and then he went down, and the offense did struggle a little bit. It did. They did eventually get one more touchdown drive, but they were not able to consistently move the football without Evans, I thought, for a decent chunk of this game. Now, weirdly, the running game actually played pretty well in this one, and I don't know if the Saints' run defense is just an issue or what, because that's something that, Tampa Bay struggled to run the ball on a lot of people. In this game, they did all right. Again, it wasn't great. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn, not really, I'm not sure if, he's a depth player. That's what he is, if that. I mean, 9 carries, 16 yards. That's not going to get it done. But with White, 3.7 yards per carry is nothing to write home about. But he had some nice plays. He had, I believe it was a good coverage, or a good receiving play, that helped them pick up a first down, made some moves there. So that play was really good. But, again, the running game was good, was competent in this game, I guess is maybe the best way to phrase it, where a lot of times it is not. So good stuff there from Tampa Bay. And 4 minutes into this video, haven't mentioned his name yet. Baker Mayfield was great in this game. Great is maybe a strong word, because he had a bad misthrow and he had a bad interception in this game, which that's Baker. No one's expecting him to be Tom Brady. That's not the expectations coming in here. We know it's not going to be quite as clean as the games Tom Brady would have, and his great is going to be different than Tom Brady's great, where when Tom Brady is great, he's otherworldly. No, this is Baker great. But still, he made some really good plays in this one. His ability to use his legs was a real positive, and that's part of how the running game worked, was because of Baker Mayfield's rushes himself. He ended up with 8 total carries. Some of them were kneel downs, but good chunk of them went for first downs, so they weren't necessarily the yardage totals isn't going to wow you. Only 31 rushing yards by Mayfield, but it was the spots in the game and how he was able to make that work. That's something that, the Saints love their cover 2 man against Tampa Bay, right? That's what they like to do. Well, it's hard to run that coverage if you have a quarterback who can run the football even a little bit like Mayfield can. That was huge. He made some key throws in this one, some third downs, especially, that last touchdown drive. I mean, the Saints had multiple opportunities to get off the field, and if they got off the field early, then they would have been down just 1 score. Now, do I trust them to go down the field and get an 8-point touchdown? Not really. Again, it was a weird game for the Saints. I really thought that they did not have the right game plan. I don't think. I think it's a losing strategy. It's usually a losing strategy to say we're going to throw the ball underneath consistently, especially against a team like Tampa Bay that just has guys who can beat you underneath. We talk about Winfield. Levante David can make those throws really difficult. And, Devin White, for all his faults, if he's in a one-on-one spot needing to make a tackle, he can run guys down and make a tackle. So because of that, I do think that this was I think it was a personnel error more than anything. I think that, I'm not saying the Saints win with Jameis Winston. I think they made a mistake going with Jameis Winston there. So, as a whole, real big win for Tampa Bay. How do we view this for Tampa Bay? Are the Buccaneers now a legit threat? I mean, a huge win, right? Huge day, as we saw, everyone else in the NFC South lost except for the Buccaneers. So, that's pretty good. That makes you feel good, as, always good when that happens. The Panthers 0-4 now. Falcons and Saints both 2-2. Tampa Bay, who did lose to Philadelphia badly, but other than that, has won 3 games and looks to be in a pretty good spot right now. What do we make for the Buccaneers going forward? Well, you play Detroit next week, and that's, again, a good test. I mean, really, some of the next couple weeks are tough, where you got Detroit, you then have Atlanta week 6, a game I'm actually going to. That's a really interesting game as well, as, who knows who's, that I kind of feel like I've been saying this all year, but I feel like the team that's going to win the division is going to be the team that wins these divisional matchups. So getting a key divisional matchup against, I think the team that most people felt like, they were the Vegas betting odds to win the division prior to today. So getting a big win there, and kind of a dominant win, makes you feel good. And while there's maybe better spots in other teams, like better aspects of other teams, like I think that, for example, the Falcons running game is very good. I think that the Saints receivers are very good, although I wouldn't say they're better than Tampa Bay's, but they're still very good. There's, Panthers don't have a lot going on, but, there's things to like about Atlanta and New Orleans. But as of right now, it comes down to the quarterback, and Baker Mayfield is pretty heavily outplaying an injured Derek Carr and clearly outplaying Desmond Ridder at this point. So I'm worried about the Mike Evans injury. That's the one thing. If Evans is out a long time, I'm worried about the 1,000 yards, and I'm worried about, what he can do in the future. But, that could make it tough, because, again, next 3 weeks, Detroit, Atlanta, and then Buffalo. So gets a little bit easier after that, but there's still some tough games. I mean, you still have 49ers on the schedule, not too far. Houston and Tennessee, neither of those are slouches. So you need to be healthy here, and, the secondary needs to be healthy. That's an issue as well. But as a whole, 3-1, about as good of a start as you could ask for through 4 weeks, in my opinion. If you told me we'd be 3-1, given those first 4 games, I'd be thrilled. So, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.